Hey there and welcome back to Movies Recap. Today we'll summarize the 2010 supernatural horror film The Wolfman. Spoilers. Our movie opens with Ben Talbot wandering the woods at night, when he's quickly attacked by what appears to be some sort of beast. In the following weeks since his departure, his fiancé, Gwen Conliffe, reaches out to his brother Lawrence to help in the search. Now upon his return, Lawrence is taken by his father and Simpson the guard dog. He offers his help but is set into identified that his brother's body had already been found on the side of the road just the another day. In his grieving, Lawrence visits Ben's body, which is being conserved in a butcher's cooler. He's been gone for most of Ben's life and assert that he see his brother one last time. When he pulls back the sheet that's covering his brother's body, he's shocked to discover that it's been curved and mutilated beyond appreciation. Now at the local pub, a bunch of townsfolk debate the mystery around the many deaths in town. Some blame a bear, some blame Nomad, but one gentleman tells a aching story of a man who was marred by a beast so big that regular bullets didn't achieve in killing it. The beast killed a farmer in his flock about 25 years ago, and since then, the wife blended down silver for bullets and rebuffed to go out on a full moon. So back at the house, Lawrence meets Gwen and gives her the last events stuff, a ring and a photo of Gwen. And that night, Lawrence and his father discuss a different kind of beast that could have marred Ben the way it did. As an avid hunter, his father compares the markings begin on Ben's body to that of a tiger, although he take that only humans were capable of such malice accident. In inclusion, we find out that Ben was the mediator between the family and the Nomad. Distrustful of what to think, Lawrence and his father easily marveled at the moon before gig at a night. Next that night, Lawrence thinks back to his childhood with Ben and anamnesis, a time when he and his brother awakened in the middle of the night only to find that their mother had committed suicide in the garden, and their father was standing over her dead body. Lawrence was sent to an refuge in London for a year, having suffered from the event, and then to America to live with his aunt after that. So the next few days are cold, and the funeral comes and goes. Before we go on, like the video, smash the subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, or Slender Man will haunt your dreams. Lawrence and Gwen both cry the loss of Ben and find solace in their similar relationship with his father, but again, possibly is too much like their mother. So the next day Gwen needle for home, while Lawrence decides to stay and investigate his brother's death. With it actuality a full moon, Lawrence's dad requests that he stay inside in case of a killer or being out and about. However, Lawrence doesn't listen and preferably decides to visit the Nomad camp in an attempt to investigate his brother's exodus. That same night, a mob of men come into the camp and blame the camp's dancing bear for the assassination. They want reparation and demand that the bear dies, as they believe that it's the killer. This immediately proves not to be the case, as the beast as one attacks that camp during their discussion. Chaos breaks loose and many people are bleeding and killed. People attempt to hide and run, but the beast always seems to find him. Now when the chaos, Lawrence attempts to kill the beast himself, but none of the shots land. He goes to save a woman from an attack and continues his bravado by chasing after a little boy who got detached from the camp. When they make it to the clearance, the boy runs from him in fear. The dense fog and low visibility make it difficult to see, and sadly, Lawrence is caught by surprise and attacked by the beast. He's saved by a group of men, but it's too late. The beast already injured his teeth into Lawrence's neck. The gypsies want to let them die, distressed about a bane, but their doctor refuses and saves him anyway. So the next few weeks are rough, and Lawrence falls in and out of a fever coma. Gwen comes back to take care of them, but even so he's obsessed by nightmares. One day, amazingly, Lawrence wakes up fully healed. His arm that was supposed to be completely paralyzed is able once again. Even his scars healed remarkably fast. Nobody sure what to think or make of it and chalk it up to good luck. Lawrence himself is unsure about the situation and questions if there was some truth to the Nomad stories. So later that night, Lawrence asks their family friend Singai about the many weapons that he's been storing. Persuaded that perhaps there is in fact a curse sneaking about, he keeps one with him, along with a case of silver bullets. He claims that sometimes the monsters haunt you. So the next day Detective Francis Abilene comes to question Lawrence about his attack. While Gwen's okay with it, Lawrence's dad is against it. The debate is put to a close when Lawrence himself walks down and allows to the interview. It's interesting to note that Sampson, who did not like Lawrence at first, now follows him sincerely. The detective questions Lawrence and his goal, considering that he was once in an insane shelter, and that there's no natural bees left in England. The detective thinks that Lawrence might be the killer. Lawrence resents the accusation and immediately sends him away. Now, sometime later, Lawrence and Gwen are talking by the water and skipping stones, when Lawrence suddenly hears a band of horses in the distance. At the front of their house, a group of men have come to take Lawrence away. It's a full moon tonight, and since they know that he survived a bite from the beast, they want to take them away to lock him up, or probably even kill them. Now in their fear, they try to take them away by force but are stopped by Lawrence's father. He fires a warning shot at the crowd and threatens to kill him for trespassing. Reluctant, they all leave and warn him about the curse. Now inside, Gwen tends to Lawrence's wounds. She tells him that the village is full of small-minded people and she hates it. When she tries to touch his lip, he begins to hear her heartbeat. The heightened senses scare him and he leaves abruptly. Later he sees that his scar has completely healed, without a trace. Now believing in the curse, he sends going away for her own safety, while the villagers all begin to prepare for another full moon. Silver bullets are made, a bait is left out, and the villagers gathering numbers. Detective Amberlynn decides to camp out at the pub for the night, knowing that it's better to stay with the potential victims rather than wander aimlessly in the night. So at the pub, the bartender insists that he investigate the toll bear. It's in their curse. Unfortunately, a curse doesn't give him a search warrant. And that night Lawrence follows his father into a crypt below his mother's grave. There he finds a strange chair with many straps attached to it. In the room, a shrine to his mother's there. His father finds him and explains how his mother was what kept them alive. And now that she's gone, he's basically dead. His father walks him out of the room and locks him in. His eyes shine like a beast in the dark, confirming that he is a werewolf too. It's then that his switch begins. Slowly and painfully he transforms into a beast and leaves the crypt to go on his murderous beings. His howl is heard by the entire town and he goes into town to hunt down the men who were hunting him. Detective Oberlin witnesses the bloodshed and to his disbelief, he sees a beast kill everyone. Now the next day, his father finds him bloodied and covered in dirt on the equity. Remaining remarkably calm about the situation, he lets the mob of men take Lawrence away to an insane shelter. Now at the asylum, he's tortured with primeval therapy methods. After weeks of suffering, his father finally comes to visit them and reveals the truth behind their expletive. During a trip to India, his father was bit by a feral boy who seemed almost like a beast in the abundance. Thinking it was more absurd than serious, he ignored the warnings of the community and returned home. The first night back he turned into a beast and killed his wife. And since then he's had Singy lock him up in the crypt every full moon for 25 years. He did this. And then when came with Gwen being so much like his late wife, he grew up obsessed with her. When Ben admitted to wanting to get married again, and taking her away, he got drunk and knocked Singing out cold in his rage, and that night, he was helpless to lock himself up and killed Ben. It was at that moment that he determined that the beast should be let out to kill and run free. Lawrence vows to kill him, and he's left alone to consider the truth. So later that night, his psychologist decides that the best way to convince Lawrence's insanity is to lock him in a room full of people to witness his transformation, and prove to him that he's just being confused. You can imagine how this backlash as the full moon comes out from behind the clouds and convert Lawrence into a werewolf. The doctors begin to panic as Lawrence begins to tear everyone apart. He throws his psychologist out the window into a fence and he begins to run free into the city. He's jumping from rooftop to rooftop as he savagely rips apart civilians. Now having witnessed the transformation himself, Detective Oberlin has his men attempt to kill Lawrence. But nothing seems to work. Many people die as Lawrence makes his escape into the night, taking refuge under a bridge. When he finally transforms back into a human, he seeks out Gwen and tells her about the truth behind his family's curse. Not fazed by the news, Gwen asserts that she can find a way to help them. However, Lawrence refuses any further help from her and accepts that he has feelings for. She begs him to stay and proceeds to kiss him, but then gets disrupted when Oberlin comes knocking at the door. He questions Gwen if she's seen Lawrence, but she bans ever seeing them. She's taken outside while they read the house, but it's too late. Lawrence has already left and is on his way back home. Now in the following days, Gwen does all-out research on the belief of werewolves while Lawrence breaks out into the countryside, making his way towards home. Now aware of the continuation of monsters, Arlene and his men armed themselves with silver bullets. Conclusively, Gwen finds the nomad that Lawrence was taken to on the night of his attack, but regrettably, they don't have any helpful advice, and assert that she has to be the one to set him free. Oberlin and his men are now commanding the town and are ready to hunt down Lawrence. When Lawrence finally makes it back to his home, the house is deserted and Thingy has been killed. Lawrence makes his way into Cindy's room and arms himself with silver bullets that he knows Thingy had. He slowly hikes the house in search of his dad, but instead finds Samson, who jumps out of the dark. His father makes his presence known by playing the piano in the study. When Lauren spots them, he sees that one of Arlene's men has already been killed, and his father's calmly waiting for Lawrence doesn't hesitate to pull the trigger, but it doesn't fire. The bullets were stripped of gunpowder many years ago. Unable to kill him, his father retaliates and overpowers him with his cane. Although he doesn't want to kill him just yet, he views Lawrence as the heir to his throne, and wants him to properly ascend. He then takes him to the window where they both witnessed the full moon and transform into their beastly forms. As fellow werewolves on equal ground to begin to fight, the house catches fire in the process, and it's a bloody mess. Lauren seems to be losing for a majority of the fight but turns the tides when he kicks his father into the fireplace, setting them on fire. Seeing him in excruciating pain, Lawrence ends his misery into cavitate and with one swing of his claws, with Lawrence established as the new king of beasts, Gwen rides into the manor and discovers his beastly form. He attempts to attack her but Oberlin comes to her rescue and fights them off. Now when their tackle, Lawrence goes and bites Oberlin but doesn't kill them. Oberlin drops the gun with silver bullets and Gwen takes it and runs for her life. Now with Gwen running off into the distance, Lawrence chases after her and leaves his home to burn to the ground. Finally, she finds herself in the woods by the water where they first talked. Now cornered, she advised Lawrence to get a hold of his senses. It seems to work at first, but with the wolves in the forest egging him on, he tries to kill her anyway. Left with no choice, she uses Oberlin's gun and shoots Lawrence through the heart. The gunshot proves to be destructive, as Lawrence transforms back into his human self with his last dying breaths. He comforts Gwen and thanks her for saving them. He dies in her hands as Oberlin and his men find her. Now, with the detective being the next to obtain the bite, it's only a matter of time before he transforms into a beast as well. And that's where our story ends, and where our belief begin. What they do with Oberlin we don't know, with the Talbots all dead and Gwen thoroughly disturbed. The last thing we see is the moon and wonder what other beasts are sneaking in the night. So Gwen had some serious loyalty to the Talbots, and despite her fiancé's death, she's still stuck around. Why do you think that is? Let us know in the comments section below with the hashtag